Believe it or not, this is the hardest of the 8 main stages to mess with. The reason being is that there are 2 heavily luck-relying issues. The obvious one is Chameleon himself, and the second is the cunt of a mini-boss raining rocks down on my head. The rest of the stage is, like most, filler, but it does mark the first appearance of the bastards in ride armor late in the stage. That's something we'll get into a little later. In the meantime, I'll apply the usual whining to this nonsense right here. These rocks are absolutely haphazard, falling with literally no pattern. Now you'll see a couple of moments where I actually react to one in time to double back, but it doesn't mean anything since another could have fallen immediately where I walked back to. These tend to clump together, but the bottom line is you'll more often than not get trapped by them, which is easy, or get picked up while playing with the damned enemies that take a good century to become vulnerable, which is even easier. I imagine the successful trick that shows up in this pain tree video alludes to it being more predictable than it actually is, but in the real world, all my delaying and thoughtful movement is just a bloody placebo effect. There's no approach through here other than reacting to the small amount you can and hoping luck is on your side. And I recognize that I could have taken the minute or so it takes to kill the mini-boss and end the nonsense, but I'm too arbitrarily stubborn to pussy out with that, even though I think exactly one person gives a shit and he's talking to you now. Anyway, now that we're back to nothing is going on so I need to fill the void territory, I'm gonna foreshadow a little more about the ride armor situation. Anyone who watched my last few runs is beyond sick of hearing me try to attach philosophical debate towards using those fucking things or not, so let's just keep it simple by saying I don't want to use one unless it's necessary to move forward in the level. And the not cheap approach is a colossal aggravation when they reappear in Sigma's Fortress. Aggravation that I no doubt asked for, but we'll have plenty of time to repeat my one-size-fits-all bitching when we actually get there. For now, we'll apply it to the boss we're fighting. Chameleon's a bastard with restricted movement in more ways than the painfully important one. Concerning the time in between the spike avalanche, when he's tracking you to use his iron ton attack, it's much harder to manipulate his movement with walking than it is with the freedom that dashing allows. This attack's quick enough that you need to be walking away from him before he actually stops to use it. Otherwise, the long reach is going to hit you before you can get far enough. And the obvious problem with this is that he can repeat this pattern numerous times. So the closer you get to the wall, the less space you have to work him with. With the dash, it's a total non-issue because you can fly all over the damned place, but it's even less advisable to try walking under him to reverse the direction than it is to risk getting cornered. What you end up hoping for is for him to interrupt the attack pattern by going to a corner to use Chameleon Sting. Also, maybe I'm paranoid, but hanging out so much in the middle of the screen seems to invite him to shake spikes from the ceiling way more often. He can initiate that attack whenever the fuck he wants, by the way. The other rare problem is a bitch move on his part which entails jumping to a high corner and firing Chameleon Sting at you instantly. It's hard to see coming since it looks like he's about to shake the ceiling at first, and it's even harder to avoid since those projectiles move surprisingly quickly. And because of the very elaborate nature of the fight, it lasts long enough that you'll see this once or twice. The one important thing to know about the spikes is that unless X is already in the motion of walking away from a spike falling above him, he'll be hit by it no matter what. The spikes fall in completely random order outside of one sometimes consistent trait, which is that you normally have one small space where spikes tend to fall less. Bottom line is, though, that outside of walking around this supposed sweet spot, there's nothing you can do to predict this attack perfectly. And in a fight that lasts this long, bad luck is an increasingly ugly threat. This took the most attempts outside of Sigma's Fortress 3, just because of the unavoidable gamble of it all.